Hey everyone, it's Fox from modelmaking.guru here, and welcome to part 5 of our build of Bandai's Master Grade 1/100 scale Freedom Gundam. Now, where are we up to? I was painting some bits and bobs last time. Now I have pretty much painted everything, all the bits, many pieces, as is normal with the Gundam. I've just realised I forgot to paint the interior frame of the arm, so duh. I'll need to do that. I did a little poll on Facebook and Twitter as to what colour to have as the secondary armour colour. As you know, I've done the blue parts. I've actually painted red, that rather spanky red colour. And I had a few options I was looking at, and there was like a green, a yellow green, a medium blue, German grey, and a purpley colour, and I think some others. Anyway, put it to the vote, and the majority votes came up for German grey. So, our secondary armour colours, which is basically some bits on the wings and the main torso, are going to be German grey. Ooh, one of my favourite colours. So, everything's pretty much painted. I suddenly realised I've got to paint this part of the shield, the interior part here, because it's supposed to be a dark grey. And I hadn't realised that, so arse. So what I would have done is painted that bit first and masked that off and painted the white. So I haven't done. So what I'm going to have to do is get creative. To keep these straight edges, what I might do is actually just paint this with oil paint. And then I can just rub the oil paint off. And then it'll take a while to dry, like when I'm doing my gunk wash. But I'll have to paint this with oil paint and then let it dry. And then it's good to go then. What else have we got? That's about it. So all the major parts are painted. What I'm going to do in this episode is I've already put together one of the shoulder cannons. Rather spanky. It's got its nice rotating part here. I've not filled in this seam line. There's a bit of... I've actually realised when I put this together I've nicked the plastic there with a little gink in the plastic, which is not ideal, but it's painted now, so there's not much I can do. So I might actually just put a bit of battle damage here just to make that blend in more. I'm probably going to do a little bit of battle damage on this, a few little impacts here and there, just scorch marks. So I'll just hide that with a scorch mark. I've not filled in the seam line down the middle of the gun. I did wonder whether I should, but I decided not to. I'm actually going to make it into a panel line. I've nicked it there as well. This is the downside of when you're trying to trim these nubs. Sometimes you can nick a little bit of plastic and not know it. So again, if I'm going to make that battle damage, I might have some battle damage here as well. It's the beauty of weathering. It covers up all manner of sins. So yeah, so I decided I'm not going to fill this seam line because it kind of doesn't go right down the middle of this part here. But it goes down the middle of the gun. It kind of looks more like a panel line than a seam line. You can kind of get away with it. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to keep it as a seam line. So I assembled this one. I shall shortly assemble, you can see the parts here, I'll assemble the other one. And then I might see if I can assemble the legs. This is where I start having to plan gloss and matte varnishes. So for example, I started building the wings. So I've got the first part of the wing here. Oh, my light's not on. Let me turn my big light on. Wah! Now you can see things. So I assembled the first part of the wing here, which is this rather spanky rotational nonsense. But I realised that the other parts of the wings involve these metallic parts. And I want these to be shiny. So I can't build the other part of the wing yet because I'll be then having to matte varnish things that are going to be gloss varnished. So some things I'm going to have to leave as sub-assemblies, paint them with the gloss varnish, do all that, and then put it all together. You'll also see in this part as well the actual joint on the end here. This isn't actually painted at all, it's just bare plastic. I kept it bare plastic because it's a ratchet hinge. And also if I paint it, it's going to just wear away anyway. So once that's matte varnished, it'll just look like a grey part. So there are some grey parts on this kit that are unpainted, and usually it's just in hinges and things like that. Hinge. So I shall clear all this away, and we shall get some building done. Here's the backpack in German grey. Hang on. Cool. Same again with this one. There is going to be a seam line down the middle, but I'm going to make it to be a panel line. I'm just going to paint it in as a panel line. Bandai are very good about their seam lines, but you do get the odd one here and there. And again, if I thought about it, I would have built this first, but because the piece inside here is shiny, I'm going to have to gloss varnish this separately, yada yada yada. I can't then build this and paint it, varnish it and so on, and weather it. I'm going to have to keep this separate, which means that I can't then put this together in one piece, seal the seam and then paint it because I've got this in the middle. So I'm going to build that in as a panel line. So there you go. Right, so I'll clear all this away and we'll build the other shoulder gun and then we'll get some legs done. So, back in a moment. Okie dokie, right, let's get this gun and the little bit of the wing done. If you're following along in the instructions, this is step 14. 14, 1 and 2 and 3, no, 1 and 2. So we're going to make the little part of the wing and the gun, so we'll do the wing first. Move the gun parts out of the way. I had a bit of a trauma actually just before I filmed this. My little rack of parts was sat quite quietly on the side and I knocked it with my elbow and it went bleh, and parts went everywhere and I was like, oh my god. But thankfully the carpet monster had nothing today and I managed to get all the parts back again, so huzzah. Well, at the moment I think I have anyway. They could all have disappeared for all I know. I could have been missing one vital part. Okay, so step 14 is we take this puppy. It's not often you see me actually making things, is it? And I hope you can see all this. And we take, not the polycat, we take this puppy, which goes thusly. Bit of a tight fit, but that's your little ratchet hinge for the wing. See the little nubs there that grind on the little tab in there, if you can see that. So we have this one done. These are unpainted parts, again, because it's a hinge and a delicate moving part. I'm not going to try painting it, because the first thing that will happen is all the paint will come off. The second thing that will happen is it'll be a nightmare to get on, because the part will be bigger because of the paint. So I'm just not going to bother painting it. As I said before, it'll look fine when it's matte varnished. So we need this one. You get 3 of these. And I shall show you the 2, so you know. If I can get them out. These 2 have little holes and a pointy end. This one has a big hole. This one we need. Little instruction point says it needs to be this way around. It's got a little, if you see in the instructions, little bunny ears, like that. That's just saying, do check this bit, don't, pay attention, don't mess this bit up. So it's just drawing your attention to something. So we're going to have this part thus. Yon hingy fella goes in here like that, you see. Goes in quite nicely. Then this goes through here. No, it doesn't. This goes, wait. Pay attention, 007. This goes through here, like so. And this bit goes on here. Yeah, it's not often you actually get to see me making things. Right, that's in. So we have our second hingy wingy part. And as you see, there's no paint coming off because there's a little bit of gap. I'm not scraping any paint off. With any hinge like this or moving part, you sometimes might get paint scraping off, but I'm going to show you paint chipping anyway. So if you're lucky, when paint does scrape off, it'll just show the primer underneath, and if you've used the primer as your chipping coat, which is what I'm going to do on this one, and I'll show you that, then that's all gravy. So that's that bit done. Put that there. Now we're going to make Das Gun. For this we need B18 and B17. We need to make this little hinge first. I'm going to say hinge a lot. Tony's going to love this because I'm going to be saying hinge all day long. So I need to have this part thus. If you're wondering why I'm doing this, why I'm going quiet, it's because I'm actually reading the instructions off screen while I'm doing this. This part thus. That goes into there like that. Makes a nice little widget with the spinniness. I hadn't actually noticed that before. Spinniness, that goes in. This is where I got confused last time. It's not evidently obvious. That goes in there. Thus. And then this piece goes on here. It's also where you get to see my shaky hands. Please don't tell my hands, my achy shaky hands. I just don't think they'd understand. I don't know where that came from, and I apologise unreservedly. Okay, so that's that bit done. Now from memory, this little puppy goes on here, with the slidey bit pointing up. Slidey bit, I mean the angled bit. Is it the wrong way around? No, it's the wrong way around. Basically, when you're making a Bandai kit, if something doesn't go in properly, it's not Bandai's design, you're doing it wrong. It's always you're doing it wrong. There you go. Again, that's an unpainted part. Basically because I forgot to paint it. But I was going to do it German grey anyway, and as you can see, it's not a bad colour match to a German grey part. So that'll look fine when it's varnished. And I can add other weathering to it. Now we have this piece goes on here. Now this is a bit fiddly. It does give you an attention point on this and says, attention, pay attention to this bit. Or whether it does on the first one you do, on the second one it doesn't. And then doesn't really make it clear what the attention bit is. What it's saying is this is the long part, this is the short part. Long part goes here, short part goes there. And if you have trouble putting this on, it's because you have to put it in and slide it. Sort of. If you just try and push it straight down, it won't go. But if you do it like that, it seems to work. And I love the way they do this. It's a red stripe, but it's a separate part. So if you weren't painting this kit, you'd have a neat red stripe. Oh, I'm sweating. I'll tell you what is boiling in here today again. I went out to work this morning to do some work, and I thought, great, because I work outdoors. So it was like, great, I'm going to be working outdoors in the throwing down rain because the clouds and the sky and the nastiness. And then somehow, by some miracle, it just got really humid and didn't actually rain. So thank you to the gods of rain for not throwing all the weather at me. Have I done that the wrong way around? Yes, it's in the wrong one. Hello. Hello. Sound like Thingy from that game. Wow, that's helpful for you, isn't it? Thingy from that game. That's all the information I've just given you there. This is not... Why am I not... What am I doing wrong here? Oh, look at that! There's a nub! Right. Let me deal with that now. As I've gone through this, I've actually found a few nubs here and there that I've totally missed. And it's driving me bonkers. I can't find my nippers. Where's my nippers? There they are. I don't know how I've missed these. But it's not a major problem, because all it means is I'm going to have to go back and just tidy up this paintwork a little bit later on. Thankfully it's a white part and white paint, so I may not actually need to do anything to it. I'm just going to trim this down. Man, that's annoying. So yeah, so I didn't get rained on today, which was nice. It's always nice when that happens. Right, so that's the nub gone. I'll have to go back and clean that up. I just need to give it a quick blast with some white paint with the airbrush, and because it's going to be here, I can just put a bit of paper there, mask it, and just go done. It's brilliant. No problem at all. So, apologies for the shaky hands. That needs to go into there. Maybe there you go. That goes in there. That goes in here. And we have the top part. Nice hinge. Hinge. And then these pieces simply go on the side. Tell you, I love these Bandai kits so much. Until I made the Heavy Arms Gundam the other month, early this year, I'd never even made a Bandai kit. But now I have. I almost don't want to go back to normal kits where you have to glue things and they don't fit properly and nothing works. So that's that gun done, and that bit of wing. As I said before, I can't do the rest of the wing parts. If the wing was all matte and there was nothing shiny, I'd just build the whole wing and then I can weather it and do everything else. I can't do that because I've got some shiny parts. So that is that part. Right, I'm going to see what the next sub-assembly I can build. As I said, I'm going to try and build sub-assemblies, so chunks of bits, so I've got less parts lying around. Anything that I can build that's all matte or all gloss, I'm going to do now, and then I can add. I'm going to like add touches of different colours here on that piping and stuff, and little accents and things. Things like grills and stuff I'll do with oil paints. So I'm going to see what else I can build. So give me 1 second and I'll go and find the next bit. So back in a moment. Okay, now for the next part, we're going to build the legs. I've done the first leg. By the way, if you're wondering why these close-up above shots look kind of dark or grainy, it's just because of the way I have my lights, and the white balance on this phone is not brilliant. So sometimes these shots do look a bit weird. I can't put my big overhead light on because you just blow everything out white balance wise. So now you know. And I'm zoomed in a little bit as well. So we're going to build the leg. I've done one, and also there's the foot joint there. It's quite a nice movement. You got the top bit, la la la. You got the bottom bit, with the little knee that moves independently, and you got the little thrusters on the back which move a little bit. And if you remember, this is simply painted gunmetal, airbrush gunmetal, and then an airbrush layer of smoke, which comes out slightly scrubby, which is quite nice because it gives it that kind of slightly burnished, slightly used look. There will be more weathering. And the reason I'm building these legs and this bit now is because these are going to be gloss varnished and then weathered. So I can't have them matte varnished with everything else. So I can't put the armour on the outside yet. So it's just a case of building the bits I can build while I'm going along. So I'm going to leave that there because it does wonders for my white balance. Right, so we have our little pile of parts. Now there is a little bit of sanding to do on here. And you do have to do this occasionally. I've got my little polycaps. What we need to do is these parts will go into these parts. But that goes in there and there on those side parts. However, because I've added some paint to it, it's a little bit thicker. So what I need to do is very gently, very quickly, I'll do this now. Just file the hole a little bit, just so it's a tiny bit bigger. Because when I first put it together, it was really quite stiff. And the problem with that is, if it's really quite stiff, it's just really quite stiff, and you're going to start pulling paint off. So I'm just using a little round file. I'm just going to gently go around the hole. Just enough to drop it, obviously. Just enough to take some of the paint off the inside. Because a layer of paint will decrease the size of that hole by, a nanometer. And that's enough for the paint to start rubbing. You might find sometimes some joints are absolutely fine. You don't need to do this. But I put it together and it was stiff, so it's better to do this now and not have a problem than do it in a moment and struggle. So I'm just going to get my file as well. This is the nub that goes through the hole, so I'm just going to very quickly sand that. I'm not sanding the end because that's the bit you'll see, but you won't see this. You won't see this edge where the little pin is. Can't think of the word. Just enough to take the edge off the paint. Doesn't have to be completely stripped of paint. Right, so that's that bit done. So what do we have to do? Step 1, we need I-17. Make sure this is all in shot for you. I-17, that one. We need Polycap PC15, which has to be, again, paying attention to the instructions, that way around. You see there's 2 little notches in the ring here. There's 2 little tabs on the polycap. And that goes on here. Spoot. That part done. Now the next step, you actually have to assemble this, but I've already done it because I assembled this before painting it because I wanted to paint it assembled. And all I did was literally put it together, spray paint it, give it a second to dry, push that down, spray paint it there again, just so I didn't miss the gap. So that's going to be the back of the knee area. So that needs to go together. Now this is the traditionally fiddly bit in all Gunpla kits. This needs to be that way up. Do we have a polycap in here? No, but we do need to put this bit on first. You don't need to put this bit on first, but I forgot a moment ago and it was a pain. I was going to paint this top part dark grey actually, but I thought it looked so cool as metallic. I'll leave it metallic. So this needs to be that way. Thusly, spladooge. That goes in the bottom hole. Matron, except it doesn't go in that way because that's upside down. You spoon. That goes in that way. And then this piece goes on here like this, you see. Now I'm just testing that, see if it's stiff. It's a little bit stiff. So I'm just going to give it a little bit more interference. Oh, I'm dropping everything now. Give it a little bit more scrubbage. I don't know if you saw that. A little bit more to test it. There you go, it's a lot looser now. I'm just going to test. The only reason I'm testing these on one and then the other is because once you put these two parts together, they're an absolute pig to get apart. So best to test it unassembled. There you go, that's much looser. So we'll get that there. Which was the right way again, that way. So that goes in there. Yes, apologies, these are darker shots. I can't have my overhead light on, so there's more shadows. So I do apologise if you're struggling to see anything. As well, because this is a reflective shiny part, it also makes it more hard to see. It's not even English. More difficult to see what's going on. So that goes in. That doesn't go in there. That should go in there. Why is it not going in there? Right, there we go. So now we have that, which is a little stiff, but it's fine. I don't want it too loose, because if you put it too loose, the Gundam will fall over every 5 seconds. And once it's posed and on display, that's how it's going to be forever then. So, and I probably do it on an action base anyway, so you know, if I'm going to have its legs like spread out or whatever, then I want it to look good. I want it to hold its pose. Okay, so that's that bit. Next we need these two little puppies and a whole mess of polycaps. We also need this little thruster. And now, I made the mistake in this kit of taking off all the polycaps first, and that was the dumbest thing in the world. Because a lot of the polycaps are similar, and I don't know what number they are because they're not on the sprue anymore. So for example, these two look exactly the same, except this one has a smaller nub on either side. So this is the one I need, and I've actually had to note it. I realised that, so I've had to note it on the instructions. Small nubs, if you probably can't read that because I don't write in using letters and words. So I need the one with the small nubs. That goes on the back of yon thrusterage. Thus, yon legulon here, that needs to go in. Oh, put the other polycaps in first. There's a big polycap goes on the bottom, where it attaches to yon foot. This other one, which is 19, has to go in there. Again, always, thank you, always pay attention on the instructions to which way around things are. Often with polycaps they'll have a particular orientation. There'll be one side that's got a ridge or a rim, there'll be one side that has a nub, and you must get them right. That one has to have the little hole, you probably can't see it, but it has to have a little hole pointing inwards. The instructions don't always point out things that you have to know or be aware of. They do a lot of times, but sometimes they don't, and it catches you up. Like before, where one part was pointed out and then the next page, the other opposite part wasn't. So now these pieces need to go into those holes. So I'm going to do exactly the same as I did before. And just very gently. This one's a bit of a bugger because it's quite small anyway. So I'm just going to spin this round. Just to add some bigness to it. And on this one, which one is it? Have I just done the wrong hole? It's that one, yeah. So that's going to be this one. Just need to expand it out a little bit. Just take the paint off. Again, I don't want it too loose, but I don't want it too tight either. So I want that way. No, I don't. Brain. There we go. So this little nub here, let's move this out of the way. This little nub here needs to go into that little channel there, because this is going to move up and down. That hole needs to go into that hole there, which would be great if I could put it on camera for you so you can see it. So that just snaps in. That little nub there, you'll see how this works. I love this way they do this. The way it falls out is brilliant. The little piston goes into that little channel there and stays, and then can go up and down without coming out. If I can get this to actually go together, it'd be great. Can be a little fiddly. It is being a little fiddly. This is the trauma of live TV, folks. It's not live TV. Right, there we go. Do we? I think we do. All my polycaps are in. Thrusters are in. Set doors to manual. And we have the moving leg. And you see how where that bit here in the little runners is now captured and goes up and down like a piston. It's kind of cool. How cool is that? So it's a bit stiff, but that's fine. Like I said, I'm going to pose it once and then leave it. Make sure that moves, yep. It's always worth double checking everything before you start putting all this stuff together, because once it goes together, you're screwed. I mean, you're not screwed. If you weren't painting, you could easily prise it apart with a very fine screwdriver blade or a knife, but if you can avoid doing that completely, that's even better. I did have to take it apart when I hadn't shored or made those holes a bit bigger, and took a smidge of paint off, but not too much, and it looked just like weathering. So put these side pieces on, make sure they're the right way around. Like I say, if something's not fitting, you're doing it wrong. Bandai get it exactly right every time. There. That is a leg. So that can now be gloss varnished and weathered. And this part for the foot, dead simple, but not so simple that I'm not going to check the instructions, or also try and remember where the heck that part is. It is there. So this is the front of the foot because it's got the pistons at the ankle. Polycap, it has a little thing telling me to do it this way. Goes into yon hole at the back. Goes into the hole at the back. It does go into the hole at the back. By God, it's going to go into that hole. There you go. And then line this other one up again with the pistons at the front. Done. Das ist richtig. So now that would go in there and be an ankle. And you know what? I'm not going to put it in yet because it needs to go into the foot, and sometimes it needs a bit of pressure or a bit of force to get in there. I also have to put the ankle guard around it, and then the leg just snaps onto the top once the foot's assembled. Now I can't assemble the foot because again it's got some gloss parts, so let me have a look and see what the next bit will be. I'm thinking it might be the torso, the waist. Right, let me go and get the bits for that and we'll quickly put the waist together. Back in a moment. Okay, here are the parts for the waist. Again, it's not all the parts for the waist because some of them are matte, as I've said before. So we need to be careful. I've got little bits of tape over the ball joints at the end just to keep them free of varnish and stuff. You don't have to do that, but it makes life a little easier. So for the waist, we have this part like this, and that part is on the back. We need PC7s. There should be 2 PC7s, which is those. I need 1 PC9, which is that big puppy there, and also a PC14, which I haven't cut off the sprue. Let me do that now. PC14, PC14. 14, where are you? 13. Oh, I have cut that off the sprue. Oh, it's that big one there. It's that big one there that was right in front of me all the time. Shh. I don't know. Right, so I need to put this one like thus. PC14, the one that was right in front of me all the damn time, goes in there. That's where your torso pops into. Doesn't give me any specific orientation for these other than make sure the hole's sticking out, because that's the hole where your side skirts will go into. That one there. Get in. Just behave. Do you know? Get in. Fiddly nonsense. There we go. It's probably just because there's some paint in there and it's a bit tight fit. But that's fine. It means my skirts will stay where they're put. And now this bit actually goes underneath, and it's actually already. It's going to be metallic coloured, so I can put that bit on now. Woohoo! And it goes. I've not done that bit yet. Let's just not jump ahead too much. What's that for? That's for the back skirts. Okay. So this needs to go together thusly. Very tight fit. But that's a good thing, because otherwise every time you move the legs, his waist would fall apart. Ooh, it's quite a tight fit. Now, if it's ever springing back like that, it just means that there's a polycap struggling to go in place. So, just be a little bit forceful. I think it might be this bottom one. It's not quite going in properly. I spent a good 5 minutes there trying to figure out which polycap was causing the problem. Taking it apart, putting it back together again. And then, like a complete spoon, realised it was just the tape over these nubs at the end, which was getting stuck in the middle. I just have my moments. I really tell you, sometimes I'm just like, stupid. This bit can go on the bottom here. I think that goes in like that. I think. There we go. Done and done. So you have your central waist unit. What else can I build? Let me go and have a look and I'll see what else I can build. Back in a moment. And we're back. Right, okay, I found one other thing I can build at this point, and that's the shield. I mentioned at the start that this needs to be grey on the inside, but I've kind of decided, you know what? I'm going to leave it white, because this piece goes behind it and gives it a nice contrast. And I kind of like the look of it white. There's a much more potential for gunk washing and stuff in there with the little grates and grills and things. So I think we're going to leave that part white. So I'm going to take an executive decision on that one and leave it white. So let's get the shield built. Right, so I need polycap 4, which is this one, which needs to go in here like so. 18.1, 18.2. That just goes on top, really? Okay. 18.1, 18.2. If you line them up properly and not like a doofus get them wrong. Because this is all going to be matte, I can build this now. There is one shiny part, and that's just the handle that the hand grips onto, the manipulator grips onto. But I can leave that off if I need to. Next step is H27, which goes into here. No, it has a little action point there. It needs to be that way up with the little, if you can see a little sort of nick in the top, so that needs to go there. Boom. That's that bit done. We need to assemble is this part, so it's that plus there's a hair, hang on, hair removal, that plus that, doesn't seem to be a very good fit, that's not very good. There we go. Well, that was fiddly. How fiddly was that? This needs to go on here. Okay, that makes sense. Or you can put it on the other side. Okay, it can go on one side or to the side. As you will note in the instructions, it has this symbol, which means you can do it either way, whichever way you want. There are, I'll go through, I'll do a video at some point of all the different symbols in these instructions. The beauty with the Bandai instructions is they're all in Japanese, but you don't need to be able to read Japanese. As long as you know what the symbols mean, you're absolutely fine. Now we have here the grey plate, which I've painted German grey to match the rest of the kit. This needs to go on top here. And this is rather cool because this will show the grey bit underneath is a grill, is a vent. I like that. If I thought about it, now I've just attached it, if I thought about it I could have painted that gunmetal or flat aluminium or something, but hey, it's too late now. Never mind. This needs to go on here. You know, watching me build a Gunpla is not that exciting. Well, not when it's bits anyway. That goes on there. I am missing a piece. Pause while I find the piece I'm missing. It is somewhere. Pause while I really look for this piece. Panic over. Found it. After about 10 minutes of searching around my floor, horrified at the thought that the carpet monster would have got at least one part. Remember when I said I knocked it all off the thing earlier on? Ha, it wasn't. It was in my box of t-shirts that I use for oil paint rubbing and stuff, because everything seemed to fall in there, so I thought it might be in there. So a bit of a panic session there. I thought I'd lost it forever. Woo! Hate when that happens. This goes on here. Sort of. Somehow. Hang on. Wrong glasses again. So I've got my normal glasses and I've got my looking at tiny things glasses and I always get the wrong pair. I had to put on my normal glasses to try and hunt on the floor for the for that missing part. And there we have, I think, our shield. Done and done. Now it's looking very clean. I will be going through paint chipping because we're going to weather the heck out of these. This just clips into here. But there's that hair again. Get off. But I'm not going to glue that in. Glue. I'm not going to put that in permanently yet because I need to gloss varnish that. So there is our shield. And we have our legs, our waist, our 2 bits of feet, and 2 guns. You can get all these in shot. Cool. Right, well that's most of the stuff I can build straight off right now, because this I can matte varnish all in one go. These I can gloss varnish all in one go. These I can matte varnish. Well, I'm going to have to do those anyway, because I'll be doing the paint chipping and stuff, and weathering on these as complete units. I need to prime and then paint the hip guns, the guns that go on the skirt, on the side skirts. So I'll get that primed and painted off camera. There's no point showing you that, I've shown you painting. I need to mask off this part of the rifle and paint that, I'm thinking red to match, or grey, I'm not sure. I'm thinking red because it's supposed to be red anyway. Or is it supposed to be blue? It's supposed to be blue. So of course I'm going to have to paint it red. So I shall mask this bit off, do some pre-shading and spray that red. Then I have to... Oh, I made a decision as well with the guns that go on the side skirts. I'm not going to fill in the seams on those either. I'm going to leave those with seams down the middle. Again, I'm just going to make them look like panel lines, similar to these. Because they look like panel lines anyway. And there's joints inside that stick out, and it's going to be a real faff to mask those off and paint the other parts, because I'd have to build it, glue it together, do the seams, then mask off all the internal bits. And it's just a lot of faff for this one anyway. This is just for me for fun, so I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to leave those seams on there. I say I'll add some when I do the gunt wash, it'll go into these seam lines anyway, and darken them. And because it doesn't go down that middle bit, like I said before, it makes it look more like a panel line than a seam line. And I'm quite happy. That's going to be inside the wing anyway. You're not going to see most of that. And the hip guns are going to be folded up. So that's going to do it for this time. When we come back, I'll probably have painted the skirt guns. I can't remember what they're called. I'll put it here. And we'll crack on with more bits. And I will show you next time, I will show you paint chipping. Because I need to start paint chipping now. Now we've got all the major parts painted. Oh, and I'll paint the inside frame for the arm as well, because I forgot to do that. So, duh. And the thing with gunmetal is you can never get the same shade twice. So I wouldn't be surprised if the gunmetal tone for the arms comes out a totally different tone to this one. But hey, it's all part of the interesting fun of the hobby. So stay tuned for the next one. Thank you very much for watching. Leave a comment, ask a question, visit us on Facebook and Twitter. Us, I mean me. And stay tuned for the next one. I'll be posting up another build diary on the Wing Gundam soon. That's just been sat drying for the last 3 or 4 days, and it's got a few more days to go while the oil paint's dry. So come back for the next one, and we shall see you soon. Adios, amoebas.